Of course, you're still tuned to Spectrum Television, of course, and this is Rise and Shine. It's the midweek edition, and we're excited. Started off with the flash news this morning, and gradually we are going to have a conversation. I mean, the whole of this week, and starting from the weekend, the Central Bank of Nigeria has spoken to some of the issues that is affecting Nigerian consumers and customers, especially when you talk about the cash scarcity. But aside from the CBN, we've also seen Nigerians being exploited across different platforms and service providers from the telecom sector and other sectors. This morning, we will be speaking with Chikuma Ephraim, who is the Zonal Coordinator, FCCPC, joining us from the city of Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Good morning, Mr. Chikuma. Welcome to Rise and Shine.
Yeah, good morning. And good morning, listener.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to have you join us. I have Yai, my co-presenter, here with me.
Good morning, Mr. Chikuma. Good to have you on the show this morning.
Good morning.
All right, then.
Okay, so let's go back to the conversation the last time. Let's start from your visit to Akwa Ibom State and your engagement with the Akwa Ibom State government and people on the issue of market unions and what they are doing to the cost of consumables in the market. What has been the development from that engagement?
Well, remember we had what we call stakeholder engagement in EU on the 30th of October, and after that meeting, or after that engagement, we have had several other engagements, because what we try to do is also to work with non-governmental agencies to go right into the market, talk with the market union. So we are talking, we've been collaborating with some organizations actually. So we have had conversations with the markets in EU and also surrounding EU in Akwa Ibom State. More engagement that has to do with the market as themselves, to do with the market unions right inside the market, so that we can fully sensitize everybody that the times of unions determining prices is gone. We also have had conversations with the government, because the information I have is that the governor of Akwa Ibom State has said that the market unions should never interrupt or interfere with prices. So we have that on the authority, and the special advisor to the governor on market and park also made that clear to us, that the governor has said that unions should not interfere with prices. So we are working with both the government, the unions themselves, and then the non-governmental organizations to ensure that the message gets down to the grassroots, to all the markets. So if we have the message already on ground, we can then start some form of enforcement where necessary.
Okay, so my question will now be, what are the impediments with implementation if the governor has clearly stated that he does not want interference by market unions, but we see that that is still happening? In your town hall meeting, what were some of the agreements that the FCCPC was able to come to, and has there been any progress since your last meeting?
Now, the truth is that during the engagement, I know that some people have actually said that there was no such interference, but we had some people who also debunked that knew that there was interference in the marketplace. So, and I realized the body language and the applause that the person who said there was interference in the marketplace received. So, before they say, what is right or what is true and what is not true. Now, but after that engagement, that is where my interest lies. After the engagement, what we have tried to do is to go to the market ourselves, to ensure that this message goes into the market. Now, but most importantly, I want to say that some of us are consumers. Even the marketers themselves are consumers. But where there are abuses and there are no people to, open their mouth to say that they are stuck on abuse, it is a bit difficult to deal with. Like I told people that day that whenever there is abuse, there should be complaints. I've never received any. But nonetheless, like I said, we are going down to the market to ensure that the information gets to the grassroots, and then we are endlessly waiting for people to say, maybe we brought our goods, or we brought our service, or we brought whatever aware to the market, and we are forced by either this market union or that to not to sell or to sell to them, and all those kind of things. It's important that while we, the government, try to protect and ensure that people's rights are protected, the people themselves should also have some responsibility to ensure that such abuses are reported. Because where they got those stuff, where you don't report, we will know we are not spirits. I always tell people that where you have rights, you also have some responsibility to know what to do and then to do it. So that it collaborates with all of us will assist the purpose.
All right then. So let's move to the key matter of the day. The FCCPC is launching a major inquiry into widespread consumer complaints against leading players in the banking, telecommunications, and aviation sectors. Well, we have MTN Nigeria being highlighted. We have Airpeace also highlighted. We also have Guarantee Trust Bank being highlighted, where customers have complained seriously, whether it's for data depletion, tickets overpricing. We're also looking at for the banking platform, people are not able to get their money, have access to their money. The platforms are not working adequately. So these complaints have been on a rise in the last couple of months, and it's become a problem. The FCCPC is launching an inquiry which started out yesterday, will last today and tomorrow. Take us through that. What exactly is happening in that space?
Well, all of us are in this nation, Nigeria, we see what is happening in the banking sector. At the time, what we had was that there was an upgrade that most banks were trying to upgrade their systems so that it can be seamless. But we have not seen that upgrade, affect the people, because whatever you are doing and people's lives are not affected positively, you won't say you've done well. So we've seen a lot of complaints by people, individuals, consumers, complaining. Let me take it one by one. In the banking industry, it's not limited actually to GTB. I know that I'm also a banking sector user. I've had situations on such times. But what we have tried to do is to pinpoint things, because where you don't have people that you say we are looking at this specifically, it will be as if you are just generalizing. So what we like to do is to pinpoint things, especially as a result of complaints. That's why I also said that people should be responsible. Responsibility, I mean, there is to complain where you are hot, where you've been treated badly. Please rise up and complain. Right? It is because people wrote that you are taking it up. Whenever there is complaint, especially when complaint is mounting up on a particular sector, we give our tax right on that sector to find out why there are abuses, why the complaint, why the consumers are complaining. So in the banking sector, we invited, our head office invited GTB for network failures. These days you go to bank, you can't even get cash. You are encouraged to do online banking. And then you now want to do that online banking, but you can't still go through. At times you try to do the normal thing, either it fails, or it will even tell you that it has gone through, Then after some time, it will now make you not understand that it has failed, and even reversal takes at times days, weeks. Even when there are clear legal directives having, that are already laid down by CBN on days that these reversals should take. I think it takes far more than that. You go there federally. Because there is one case we finished treating. We just finished treating it last 2 weeks. That failed transaction has taken more than 6 months, over 6 months, before we were able to resolve it. So what we are looking at in the banking sector is failure of networks, preventing customers access to their phones, preventing customers doing the normal transactions they want to do. Unfortunately, you go to ATMs, there are no cash in the ATM. You are not even talking about your thing in the ATM. You don't see cash in the ATM. But also discussing with the banks on why do we have cash with POS providers.
Yeah.
But there are no cash at the ATM. You don't go to any ATM to receive any cash. But if you don't go to a POS provider across the state of where there are ATMs, you will have as much money as you want, as far as you are ready to pay. So the question is, are Nigerians buying their money? This is an economy where every snake wants to swallow another snake. And we are saying that this has to stop. So we don't want to make it a general thing. We are now picking it up with individual businesses. Because when we now find you one thing, we place a huge fine on you, so that you now know that it's your responsibility to do the needful. So then on the area of, in fact, that of the bank, let me give an example. There is also a case I have here in my zone. Somebody's account was placed on loan for no reason. And that loan lasted for almost 3.5 months. And by the time we look at it, there was no reason whatsoever why that loan should have been there. And then we found out that it was because the customer had an issue with another bank manager who now, because he works in the bank, placed a lien on the customer's account just to punish him. Can you imagine that kind of behavior?
Are there no laws to punish such actions?
No, we are taking it up with the bank. Immediately they received our letter, they quickly lifted the lien. But I've got to have it, the customer had already requested for a compensation. So we are looking at the compensation, and when we feel that, or when we find out clearly that such customer has been abused and the consumer's law has been abused, we will also place the fine on such obligation.
Okay.
Because we can no more continue to work in that way in Nigeria. You know, because after all, the reason why that obligation is there is for the interest of the consumer.
Okay, Mr. Chukwemeka, there is something I like to bring up. I know you must have followed through as well. The trending conversation spearheaded by Very Dark Man of a certain woman whose brother had over 500 million naira in Access Bank. And then when she eventually went for it, she was told, oh, first there is no money in that account. And then eventually she demanded for the account details. It was all provided for. When she appealed and even went to the headquarters, by the time she was eventually given the printout of the account statement, they had skipped from 2020 to 2024. And then the data, the figures had changed. And at some point, The said amount, they said, had nothing inside it. The bank offered the woman 2-point-something million naira cash, which, by the way, we know by the CBN rule, or by the CBN Act, we are not supposed to withdraw per week. 20,000, or up until now that they now increase it to a daily 50,000 naira benchmark. But the bank gave somebody 2-point-something million naira just as an attempt to cover it up. The same bank who said the account had nothing, by the time the petition was sent to the CBN, following the conversation, it was a completely different ballgame. This clearly shows that the banking sector is sitting on deep-seated corruption. And it begs for the question, what is the standing of the law and the place of the FCCPC in terms of this? Because obviously this is not the first time somebody has died, left his account, and the next of kin cannot access that money. Meanwhile, people within the banking sector have stolen money they did not work for.
Okay, the issue is that it's important to be legalistic in what we're doing. Let's not just take it for granted that when something is happening, or something it does happen. But when it happens, there's a need for you to complain formally. These things are not an issue of social media debate. If you debate on social media, you may not have the exact situation. So that what I advise you to a situation is, please complain. When you bring it up on social media as a discourse, you are only murmuring. Because we don't have the facts. We don't have the facts. So, but where we have such consumer related issues, we will advise the person complains formally. And because if you complain formally, it will be dealt with. And then your rights will be protected. And then if there are abuses that have been, or that is involved in the matter, yes, the person will pay for it, or the organization will pay for it. There's no way somebody will take another person's money and think that that's the way it is, because it's a bank manager or it's a bank executive. No, it doesn't. Why somebody bring his money to the bank? It's a protection. It's not for it to be stolen. Yeah, so we are there to protect the person and ensure that we are such a busy town, not any form of injury. Some form of compensation will also be paid, not just your money refunded. Yes.
Okay, so we've been talking about consumer rights also, especially where the aviation sector is concerned, and I think it was at the beginning of Festus Kiyamo's tenure as the minister in charge of the sector that he was talking about the fact that we really need to reignite the laws that make airlines pay consumers and customers if there is any delay in flight, any hazards caused by the agency, the flight agency, to the customers. And this is happening. Mr. Chukuma, I don't know, how recently you have flown and how many times you've had to fly in the country. I know you're spending within the ambit of millions as opposed to hundreds of thousands we used to, spend to fly within Nigeria. What is the FCCPC saying about this? We are buying tickets in Nigeria for upwards of 300,000 to travel Akwa Ibom, Abuja, Akwa Ibom, Lagos, and other parts of the country for that matter. Consumer rights are absolutely being infringed. Upon the fact that these tickets are expensive, flights are rescheduled without due explanation or unduly, delayed.
Well, that's part of the reason why also we are discussing or engaging AP, because there have been some complaints against such exploitation on ticket pricing, including 6 fare increases without notice. We also have on advanced booking, you may have issues. Even after you book and you getting to that day, they will tell you they will cancel later or you tell you.
Yeah.
We also have issues that have to do with the pricing on certain domestic routes, where we feel it should have been cheaper than what it is. And then most importantly, somebody told me the story. Now you did, the price on a on getting to the airport of just 2 hours to the time of flight. He was about leaving his house. You see the text that the flight has been cancelled. And that he could either go for a return or be willing to go to a rescheduling. So, because of the position of the person, he called his agent. He is a son, and my son is in the state. Probably the people on the list didn't know who he is. So when the agent got the information, he quickly called the airline and said, look at this person, these people cannot joke with it because it will be expensive on you. Do you know that he was put back in on that same flight?
Wow.
So we have a lot of abuses, especially on our consumers who don't know, their rights. Now, what I always tell people is, on such a situation, you can already on the airport, possibly, let 2, 3, 4 times or as many as possible write just a little petition and let them sign everybody friendly. That makes it a class action. It shows that the most of Nigerians are being underestimated or their consumer rights are being abused. So that way it becomes a strong threat. So I always think with people, please don't just let it stand. Report, complain, don't murmur, so that it can lead to changes. Because when we started with this issue, we had to have some issues with the government agency, that is in charge of the area. Because they said that it's not under our purview to look into the affair. But we now have an understanding with them after it was proved that because these people are consumers, it's also under our purview. So I want to plead with people, please report. Either report to FCCPC or to the federal government agency in charge of things in Nigeria. So, it beholds on us, actually, it beholds on us. Things don't change that quickly, especially don't such a tradition of people, but with persistent complaints and engagement, and probably placing of fines, it makes people to fall in line.
Okay, so now you've raised a very serious concern. Remember the last time we talked, we also came to this area where it seems Nigerians are the ones encouraging organizations, service providers to actually abuse their rights. But then another question will come up. How readily available and accessible are the means to report cases to the FCCPC in Nigeria? What are the simplest ways that Nigerians can report cases of rights violations and abuses when they experience such?
Now, just with your phone, you don't need to even go to a cyber cafe to make a case. On your phone, with our email, you can send us complaints. Either in the zone, wherever you are, or at our national platform. It's easy. For South Zone, we have South at FCCPC.gov.ng. South is one word, lower case letter, it's not no capital letter. Then for the national office, You have FCCPC.gov.ng. That's all. You don't need to go to anywhere. You don't need to know anybody. All you need to do is just upload it, and within 24 hours, we have gotten, back to you to tell you who's having it. We also have our training website, www.fccpc.gov.ng. If you go there, you now go to how to make complaints. You can also know how to make complaints. You can also complain them. It will also be handled. I want to let you know that our services are also free of charge. It's no, we don't charge anything. So you will say that it is because you have to pay this or pay this. So if the whole Nigeria to use these services, let me give you an example. If somebody gives me a check of 100 million and you don't go to bank to cash it, it will remain an ordinary paper in your home. Useless. But until you take it to the right place, it can become cash where you can amortize or use for any other thing. So there are those opportunities for Nigerians to use. In many times we don't utilize them. But we also been talking about undelivered data services with the service provider. We have seen several, but many Nigerians don't complain. We have also seen a lot of inadequate customer support by these service providers. We must complain to be able to get these services corrected. Right here in the zone, in fact, tomorrow, we will have an inquiry with one of the major distributors of the consumer products, because I've realized that their pricing in the other zone is quite cheaper than the pricing we receive here in the south. So you need them to tell me how they come up with their pricing. So these things are all there to make the picture of the consumer. They're doing a lot to protect the consumer. But it's not that the consumer also not to be responsible in their own part to help us do our work here. Because after all, the total effort is for the protection of the consumer. Yes.
Okay, so let's finally get to the telecommunications sector.
Yes.
It's been a long time that we started experiencing network failures. As a matter of fact, personally, last night, in fact, this morning, I got into an issue with a colleague at work who said he called twice and it rang from his end. But I did not see a missed call from his number, neither did my phone even ring. Now, that is just one of the scenarios. We've had instances where you send a text message and that text message will be multiple charged. Nobody refunds that money back to you. You place calls, you don't get to hear the other person, the person doesn't get to hear you, but you are being charged. You subscribe to data at a certain amount of money, but before you know it, data that is supposed to last you for a long period of time is finished under 1 day, under 2 days. And you know that you've not, utilized that data to the point that it should actually finish. All of these are some of the ways that Nigerians are being exploited in terms of the network providers. What is the FCCP's engagement hoping to achieve in this regard? Because Nigerians are not smiling at all.
Well, I want you to understand, there's a sector regulator of telecommunications, which is NCC. So it is the NCC that ensures that these service providers do them according to the law. And they are regulators to, write out or come up with provisions of the law that make them do it right. But from the angle of using by the consumer, that's where we come. Where there are complaints, where these companies don't meet the required regulations, where a consumer has been abused or his rights have been abused, that's where we come in. You get my point? So that you don't think that the FCCPC that will now come up with provisions of law that will guide them. No, that's not our responsibility. So our responsibility is to ensure that these companies don't abuse the rights of the consumers and that they do or provide their services according to the regulations. So we've been working with FCC to ensure that we have seamless communication within a long time. But I also want to let you know that the power problem in Nigeria is also part of what causes some of these things. Like you deliver a message, the person didn't get it, or you are calling the person, even when you know that the person's phone is on, is saying not available. It could be that the network provider tower near the people is down. There are such possibilities. But where you have got your maybe airtime on your data, and you see that you have been exploited, please report. You take it up and ensure that things don't happen again, and then compensation also paid.
Okay, just before we let you go, what is your parting shot to Nigerians? Because, like you said, change doesn't just come, and if change must come, then we all have to work together to make that work. Okay, just before that last parting shot, the last time we spoke, you talked about plan by the zonal branch of the FCCPC to ensure that you get to the states within the region. How is that going for you?
Well, part of our next phase budget is the establishment of state offices. Since we spoke, we have a new office in Ibadan. That's one of the ones I've been established. We are also looking at establishing one or two state offices in the zone in the next year, because this is coming to budget. It don't just happen. You know that you have to get accommodated, you have to have the plans, you know those things. So it is a budgetary allocation. So, but I am assuring you that the head office, in our last management meeting, actually at Abuja, it was agreed that state offices will have to come into operation by next year, maybe first or second quarter. But we're also looking at possibility of getting corporate to have what we call complaint desk at the local government level, so that those that cannot just send in their complaint and things can just go to their local government and complain to somebody who will just upload it and then it will be handled. So those are options we're looking at, because we realize the importance. Because our current chief executive, Tunji Bello, is our executive vice chairman. He was at during that
stakeholders engagement. Okay.
Yes. So he was in Uyo. In fact, he was the one that insisted that we should go to Uyo. That he needed to be in touch with the grassroots staff apart from the campus where we are based. He was the one that insisted that we should move it to Uyo. And then we moved it to Uyo, and it was awesome. The attendance was good. We were happy with the attendance. We had 120 people present, different organizations. So, but he is insisting that we must get to the grassroots, that issues of consumer protection is not an elitist thing, because earlier it's been an elitist, I have to be honest with you. But we are his plan is that consumer protection must get to the grassroots of the woman that is buying the woman that is buying sales. So it is in the plan to ensure that state and local government authorities are established. But then these things are budgetary allocation. That's what I can say. Yeah.
Okay. So just your parting shot, your last word of advice to Nigerians before we let you go then.
Actually, I always tell people, okay, let me start this way. The FCCPC is the federal government agency, the apex actually, on consumer protection and competition. In fact, Section 104 clearly states that it is the Apex Federal Government Agency on consumer protection. So I want to assure you that you'll be duly protected because there are provisions, a lot of provisions that protect the consumer. So I will plead with our teaming consumers, Nigerians, is when your right in the marketplace is abused, when you are shortchanged, when you didn't get what you think you have paid for, don't murmur. Don't sit down and say that if you do this or that, or you need this or that. You don't need a leg and an arm. In fact, you don't need to bring money for filing. Everything is free. If I give you some of the letters that people write us as application, you will marvel. So I want to plead with Nigerians. Don't murmur and sit down, but complain. The most important thing, be a responsible and responsive consumer. Know what you are supposed to do in the marketplace. After you've done that, if you have your change, please complain. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chukwuma Ephraim. That's the zonal coordinator of the South-South region of this FCCPC. We do appreciate you taking the time to speak with us and to enlighten Nigerians this morning. And we hope that all of the plans that you have, especially getting to the grassroots, would yield the desired results so that we can solve some of the biggest problems affecting us as a people. Do have a wonderful Wednesday morning experience.
Thank you very much.